Lay off. To dismiss employees from their jobs due to economic reasons. Synonym for lay off. Downsize, terminate, dismiss, sack, let go, pink slip. Despite efforts to avoid layoffs, the management decided to lay off workers as a last resort. The company had to lay off several workers during the economic downturn. The company had to lay off several employees due to budget cuts. Trade off. To exchange one thing for another, often in economic negotiations. Synonym for trade off. Exchange, swap, barter, bargain, negotiate, compromise. In negotiations, the company was willing to trade off higher profit margins for longer-term market share. Countries sometimes trade off certain concessions during trade talks. The trade-off between cost and quality is a common consideration for consumers. Bear down on. To exert pressure or have a significant impact on the economy. Synonym for bear down on. Exert pressure on, apply pressure to, weigh heavily on, press down on, oppress, overwhelm. Rising inflation can bear down on the purchasing power of consumers. The recession began to bear down on small businesses, forcing many to close their doors. Economic sanctions started to bear down on the country's economy, leading to currency devaluation. Write off. To declare a financial loss or debt as uncollectible. Synonym for write off. Cancel, forgive, waive, discharge, absolve, excuse. The company had to write off a significant amount of bad debt. Due to the prolonged economic downturn, the company had to write off a significant portion of its assets. The bank decided to write off the bad debt owed by the bankrupt company. Scale back. To reduce the size or scope of economic activities or projects. Synonym for scale back. Reduce, decrease, cut back, downsize, trim, curtail. The government had to scale back its infrastructure development plans due to budget constraints. The government had to scale back infrastructure projects due to budget constraints. The company announced plans to scale back production in response to decreased demand. Bank on. To rely on or depend heavily on a particular economic outcome. Synonym for bank on. Depend on, rely on, count on, trust in, lean on, bet on. Small businesses often bank on holiday sales to boost their annual revenue. The investors were banking on a rebound in the housing market to generate profits. Investors often bank on stable economic conditions for profitable returns. Cashing on. To take advantage of an economic opportunity for financial gain. Synonym for cashing on. Exploit, profit from, benefit from, take advantage of, capitalize on, monetize. Entrepreneurs look to cash in on emerging trends in the market. Entrepreneurs aim to cash in on the growing demand for eco-friendly products by launching sustainable brands. Real estate developers sought to cash in on the booming housing market by building luxury condominiums. Trickle down. To describe the economic theory that benefits provided to the wealthy will eventually benefit the entire society. Synonym for trickle down. Diffuse, filter down, spread out, percolate, radiate, disseminate. Advocates of supply-side economics argue that tax cuts for the wealthy will eventually trickle down to benefit everyone. The government implemented policies hoping that economic growth would trickle down to lower-income households. The government's tax policies aim to stimulate the economy and let the benefits trickle down to all citizens. Bankroll. To financially support or fund an economic venture. Synonym for bankroll. Finance, fund, sponsor, back, support, subsidize. Venture capitalists often bankroll startups with high growth potential. The billionaire philanthropist decided to bankroll the construction of a new hospital in the underserved community. Venture capitalists agreed to bankroll the startup's expansion plans in exchange for equity. Hold back. To restrain or limit economic growth or progress. Synonym for hold back. Restrain, inhibit, hinder, suppress, check, control. The uncertainty surrounding the trade agreement held back investment in the region. High inflation rates can hold back economic growth by reducing consumer purchasing power. High interest rates can hold back investment and economic expansion. Rev up. To increase the speed or activity level of economic growth. Synonym for rev up. Accelerate, boost, ramp up, speed up, intensify, energize. The government implemented stimulus measures to rev up economic activity during the recession. The central bank decided to lower interest rates to rev up borrowing and spending. The new infrastructure projects are expected to rev up the economy. Channel into. To direct resources or funds toward a particular economic sector. Synonym for channel into. Direct into, funnel into, route into, guide into, lead into, divert into. The company planned to channel resources into research and development to innovate new products. The government aimed to channel investment into renewable energy projects to reduce carbon emissions. The government plans to channel more funds into renewable energy initiatives. Tie up with. To form a partnership or alliance for economic collaboration. Synonym for tie up with. Partner with, collaborate with, ally with, associate with, join forces with, team up with. The university tied up with industry partners to fund research projects and promote innovation. The tech startup decided to tie up with a larger corporation to access its distribution network. The two companies decided to tie up with each other to expand their market reach. Squeeze out. To force out competitors or eliminate inefficiencies in an economic system. Synonym for squeeze out. Eliminate, oust, force out, expel, drive out, remove. The aggressive pricing strategy aimed to squeeze out competitors from the market. Efficiency measures were introduced to squeeze out wasteful spending and improve profitability. Aggressive pricing strategies can squeeze out smaller businesses. Bubble up. To describe economic growth or activity that starts at a lower level and moves upward. Synonym for bubble up, rise, surface, emergence, upwelling, emerge, spring up. Economic opportunities often bubble up from grassroots initiatives within local communities. Innovation and entrepreneurship can bubble up from unexpected places, driving economic growth. Economic prosperity often bubbles up from local businesses to the national level. Bottom out. To reach the lowest point in an economic downturn before starting to improve. Synonym for bottom out. Reach the nadir, hit rock bottom, plummet, decline, deteriorate, slump. The housing market appears to have bottomed out, and prices are expected to rise. After months of recession, the economy finally bottomed out, signaling a potential recovery. Real estate prices have bottomed out, prompting investors to consider buying properties at discounted rates. Cash out. To sell an investment or exit a position to realize gains or losses. Synonym for cash out. Sell off, liquidate, dispose of, convert into cash, realize gains, monetize. The entrepreneur decided to cash out his shares in the company after it went public. Investors cashed out their positions in the stock market ahead of an anticipated downturn. Investors may choose to cash out their stocks when the market is high. Pull back. To reduce or withdraw economic investments or involvement. Synonym for pull back. Withdraw, retract, draw back, remove, recede, scale back. Companies may pull back on expansion plans during economic uncertainty. Faced with uncertain market conditions, the company decided to pull back its expansion plans. The central bank announced it would pull back on quantitative easing measures as the economy stabilized. Narrow down. To focus on specific economic issues or solutions. Synonym for narrow down. Focus, concentrate, reduce, limit, refine, streamline. Economists are working to narrow down the factors contributing to inflation. The economic research team needed to narrow down their focus to specific industries for their study. As the project progressed, the policymakers narrowed down their options for addressing the budget deficit. Hedge against. To take measures to protect against potential economic risks. Synonym for hedge against. Safeguard against, protect against, shield against, insure against, guard against, buffer against. Businesses hedge against currency fluctuations by entering into forward contracts to fix exchange rates. Investors often hedge against inflation by diversifying their portfolios with assets like commodities or real estate. Investors often hedge against currency fluctuations by diversifying their portfolios. Level up your English. Master vocabulary, idioms, and phrasal verbs with fun quizzes. Translate meanings into 104 languages. Download now. Link in the description. Please like and subscribe to our channel.